combination of COVID plus air quality is a big contributing factor.
And what you feel the need for self-reliance. Tension toward the scientists increased immediately. That we need to have the entire chain of products of many other fields in the country.
For the past 1 year that COVID has been there, we've seen news channels, newspapers, people talking about scientists much more. We generally do not really talk about our scientists that much. Do you think the realization that a lot of this change the life that we live now is for what the scientists have done or the research that they have done, that realization came to the general public a bit late, or do you think it's like COVID sort of pushed them to realize that?
Well, I'm sorry to say, but no, I don't know about the right or wrong or sooner or later. Most people react to things that matter. Okay, and the reason scientists and doctors are all important is because they matter to your survival. Okay, so it's as simple as that. I'm sorry in some ways to say that the scientists will matter even more. But a year from now, let's say we have the COVID under reasonable control, it become like a flu. It kills a certain fraction of people. It's tolerable as we've gotten used to flu. But I think there's some very global issues. Of course, climate change is a huge item. And for a country, especially India, even basic things like quality of air and water. I mean, we are not even talking climate change, which is a sort of a more longer term and a sort of a nationwide problem, but they are very acute local problems. As these necessities become, not there. I mean, if you don't have water and air quality it's very clear that in India, the combination of COVID plus air quality is a big, contributing factor. And who knows what the next pandemic may be. Okay. And it may have to do with unsanitary conditions. It may have to do with stagnation water. I don't know. I don't have that sort of imagination. So in a world which has almost about 10 billion people now, and we have produced more stuff than the rest of the biomass, we are at a challenge. We are challenging nature fundamentally, and nature will, the answer is nature will win. Okay. And the only thing we can do is slow it down, manage, and then perhaps decrease our population and, do all sorts of things.
Dr. Ghosh, do you think this sort of scene has changed in India as well? Like people are talking about scientists more nowadays. Obviously, news channels are talking about them more. But my point is that scientists have been doing these research for decades since we have been a civilization. So this sudden, acceptance has come, like Professor Kulkarni said, because there's a need. Will this help in, sending out a message that see these people are doing these things, and it'll sort of, give encouragement to young people to join sciences more?
Yeah. So, Prajanma, I have to say that there are two immediate ways in India things have changed. And first is, of course, the moment the pandemic broke out, it was clear that we are severely short of PPEs, we are severely short of necessary ingredient to stop to safeguard the doctors and the nurses, as well as the general public. So a lot of scientists who were otherwise engaged in different types of research, they started working very directly into getting, a better, more economical solutions, more innovative solutions to get the PPEs. And that connected to the NGOs, that connected to the general public. So the attention towards the scientists increased immediately. There's a direct impact of the COVID in the Indian context. I'm sure it is true for other countries as well. But I have to say there is a much broader impact which should not be ignored at all. So when the pandemic broke out, immediately you shut your borders, your technology import as well as export stops down. And what you feel the need for self-reliance. in all technological sectors, not just in the life sciences and just in the pandemic related issues. Now you have our diplomatic relationship with others. Many other countries have changed, and the technology import, material import, device import has been affected. So what we now need to do, and the government is understanding this very clearly, including the scientists like us, that we need to have the entire chain of products of many other fields in the country. We need to create that so that if another pandemic of this sort breaks out, then we are not at sea. We do not have to depend on others to satisfy our own needs, which is why the Atmanirbhar initiatives have been taken place. So we need to make things ourselves, which means even though the pandemic has been directly affecting the life sciences, even the engineers will have to get into action, even the scientists, chemists, biologists, physicists, they all have to get in action to create a complete self-sufficient setup in all aspects of science and technology in India, including the product development and its commercialization.
You rightly said that a lot of technology import got stalled, and that's why the idea of making it in India became more important. But how realistic is the plan, given the fact that, first of all, it will take some time. It's okay, we are thinking of a long-term plan, but we were importing for a reason. It was cheaper, it was easier to get, and it also, we don't have the infrastructure. Like a lot of scientists have complained during this period that there's a lack of collaboration, that there are lack of labs. How realistic is the plan to go Atmanirbhar at this point? How long will it take for us to be totally self-reliant?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. So it cannot be a knee-jerk action. One needs to be realistic. One needs to build this up in phases. But there has to be a start at some point of time. We cannot be ignorant about, we cannot keep looking away when the need is absolutely essential right now. So yes, there has been steps taking place, and people are developing certain smaller scale self-reliance structures. And I'm hoping that there is a significant discussion between the administrative and the scientific and engineering community. And what are the key sectors in which we can achieve self-reliance first? There is no doubt one of the biggest problem in India is the manufacturing sector. We almost have zero manufacturing in a large section of scientific and technological equipment and infrastructure. And the government has already imposed global tendering restrictions, which we are going through. There are discussions taking place and trying to promote some of the small and the local industries to make sure that, if it is possible, try and use what's being done in India.